So Morphe was just kind enough to send over their new 35F Fall into Fabulous eyeshadow palette. So today I'm going to be using this bad boy to walk you through a very beginner-friendly nude eyeshadow tutorial. So let's grab our blending brushes and get started. So of course, for starters, we want to prime our lids. We want the best payoff and the best longevity with our shadows. So I'm going to be using my Gerard Cosmetics Clean Canvas eyeshadow base. Now with this, a little bit goes a long way, so just keep that in mind. Now what's great about this palette is obviously we have a lot of lighter tones in the first couple of rows, which is hello, perfect. We have a lot of accent tones for shimmers like the golds and the silvers. And at the bottom we have a lot of deeper shadows, which are fantastic for when we want to build up, like when it's like deep into fall and we want those like berry vibes or just like the dark smoky looks. This palette is perfect for all of that. Okay, so we're gonna take our fluffy blending brush. I'm using the new J Sky Beauty brushes, by the way. And we're gonna look at pretty much 3 or 4 different shades. So for now, we want the second darkest shade. So we're gonna take something like this one right here, because we have a transition shade that's lighter and then we also have shades that are darker. So we're gonna go with this one first in our crease. Okay, so all we're gonna do is in circular motions, just start going along the crease of our lid. And as long as you're going in circular motions, this is gonna help to blend out the shadows as you're applying them instead of them being harsh right off the bat and then having to go back in and blend them. But just start going in circular motions, round and round and round until you get the color payoff that you want. Now Morphe shadows blend very, very easily and they are pretty pigmented right off the bat. So you really don't have to do much work when you're using these palettes. Okay, so once you have that shadow on like so, again, this is our second shade that we would actually be using as far as like lightest to darkest. Now we're gonna go in with our lightest shadow and we're gonna use another really fluffy eyeshadow brush and we're gonna take the lightest shade. So we're gonna take the one directly above it because it's obviously a shade or two lighter. And this is just gonna blend it out further while still giving a little bit of color, but just making sure it looks flawless and smooth. So just lightly brush over it, circular motions, little back and forth motions. So the lighter your hand is, the better. We don't want to really push too hard. This is all about blending. It's all about soft glam. So as you can see, it's very, very smooth, seamless, and blended. Okay, so now we're gonna go in with our third brush. As you can see, this is definitely more dense and smaller than the previous two. And this is where we're gonna take a slightly darker color. So I think I wanna go in with a color like this one right here, kind of this dark chocolate brown over here. So we're gonna start applying this to the outer corner right there or so. So just as you can see, it's obviously much darker. Just kind of stamp it on so you get the pigment there right away, like that. And then we're just gonna start blending it out. And we're gonna blend it downwards at an angle onto our lid because once we apply our shimmer, it's gonna kind of meet with that color and it'll blend together. And then we're just gonna softly go in circular motions to blend it out, make sure nothing's too harsh. And we're gonna flick it outwards a little bit just so we can kind of get a more angled shape on the outside. And then we're just gonna go right into our crease. So the crease is that little socket right there. So we're gonna very gently go in through there and go all the way around just to build up the dimension and bring some of that depth to it. Okay, so you see now we have that angled shape, it's built up, it's nice, and we have a nice blend going on. So what we're gonna do now is actually take that first brush we used and go into that first shade that we used, which is actually the second darkest color, and just very lightly go on right in the crease area, right above that darker brown. And the first color we used, just to make sure that they're really, really blended together, there's no harsh lines, and you're ultimately gonna get this beautiful gradient of light to medium to darkest dark, and that's what we want. So just go around the edges very, very lightly, circular motions. You know the vibes by now. When you're happy with it, we're gonna move on to the shimmer. Okay, so when I do my cut creases, I actually do what I call a faux cut crease. So instead of actually going through and cutting my crease like a lot of people do, I strategically make sure that my shadows don't go onto the lid too much, so that way the space is already there for the shimmer, which is essentially why you cut your crease. You cut your crease to remove product, that way you have a blank surface, and as you can see, I already have that blank surface. It saves you time, it saves you product, and it's just much easier. So now we're gonna go in with our shimmer. So I think we're gonna go in with a gold shimmer because like who doesn't like gold? I think we'll actually let's try out this one right here. Kind of that yellow gold. No, we're doing with the regular. No, we're gonna go in with this copper one. Yeah, we're gonna go with the copper one.
I'm never decisive, sorry.
So anywhere that you have that open space on your lid, you're just gonna start stamping on your shimmer of choice. So what's great about the way I do my eyeshadow looks for the most part is that you can use this exact technique, but switch out the colors to whatever you want and still get the same like eyeshadow result, if you know what I mean. Like you'll still get the blend, you'll still get the cut crease, but you can use whatever colors you want. So just follow that crease all the way around, stamping on as you go. Okay, so now we have this beautiful gold on the lid, and what we're gonna do again is take our smallest brush that we used with that chocolate brown, and we're gonna take a little bit more of this right on this outer corner and kind of shimmy it, I like to call it, back and forth, right at the very edge of that gold, just to make sure that it mixes together, it blends together, there's no harsh line, and it just goes kind of seamlessly from the gold shimmer into that chocolate brown. Just makes sure that it's perfect and seamless. And again, we can add a little bit more on this outer corner if we need to, just to bring back that shape a little bit. Perfect. So now there's no harsh line. And again, even if you did create a harsh line, which we don't really have one here, you could take your flat brush and just kind of, again, shimmy it on this side with the gold. Just to make sure it's blended and goes right into the next color, from one to the next. Okay, so now the top of our shadow is done. We're gonna move on to our under eye, which if you don't use shadow under your eye, start. It brings it all together, it looks fantastic. So, as usual, I'm using my trusty Makeup Shack T14 brush, and we're gonna smoke out our lower lash line. Okay, I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer for this. So, for this, you can either use a medium brown or a dark brown, depends on if you want that contrast and that like really drawing attention in kind of moment. So for me, I think I'm gonna take that same chocolate brown, but actually dip into a little bit of this brown at the top as well. I'm gonna do that just to lighten it up a little bit, because I don't want it to be too dark or else it kind of drags you down a little bit. And so you're just gonna kind of like look up a little bit if you need to. Connect the outer corner to kind of that rounded shadow like we have on top, and just brush it all the way around. Try to stay close to the lash line. If you take your shadow too far down, it kind of looks like it's dragging your eye down, and we don't want that. You can still use dark colors without it like dragging your eye down, and this technique ensures that. So go all the way to your inner corner, sweeping motions back and forth. Now, what I do then is I brush my brush off on just like a paper towel or back of my hand, whatever, and with no product on it at all, just quickly brush through it. This is just gonna blend it out, smoke it out a little bit, just so it's not harsh whatsoever. And it'll look fantastic and flowing. So you see how it kind of like brings it all together, and again, kind of gives you that shape and lifts it up. It's exactly what we want. So real quick, I'm gonna go finish my other eye off camera, throw on some lashes, liner, and mascara, and I'll be right back to show you the final look. Okay, I'm back, and this is the finished look, all complete. I definitely recommend you trying out this palette from Morphe. It's very affordable, it's very high quality like all Morphe products, and it just performs very well. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I thank you guys so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have the day you deserve.